We have been hearing a lot about variants of the coronavirus. Why are we seeing so many variants coming up so quickly? And what is it that makes us so concerned? This topic is necessary to understand how the pandemic could progress and what this means for us. Variants arise with a few properties that are different from that of the original virus. This isn't special to the coronavirus, it's a very natural workaday part of viral evolution. I'll explain this phenomenon with something easy to relate to. Say there is a one liner sentence written on the first line of a page. Your task is to copy this sentence to the second line, then copy the second sentence to the third line, and so on. Once you have done this 100 times, you probably would have ended up with a few typos. These typos are likely to be inconsequential, and the basic meaning of the 100th sentence will be the same as the first one. But if you do this a million times, so many typos would have accumulated by then that the meaning of the millionth sentence would no longer be the same as the first one, and it would now have acquired a different meaning. Similar to this is what happens with viruses. When a virus replicates, it creates a copy of its genome sequence, which in the case of SARS-CoV-2 is an RNA. When an RNA is copied, it leads to copying errors. These so called typos that viruses make are called mutations. Most mutations are minor and don't lead to a significant change in the virus. But when enough mutations get accumulated over a lot of such replication cycles, it leads to a change in some property of the virus. And that gives rise to a new variant. The rise of variants due to such mutations is purely random. Some variants even have an evolutionary disadvantage, while some become more robust. And then, through natural selection, the weak ones vanish, while the more transmissible ones are able to dominate the pandemic. Most mutations or variants are not particularly harmful, but there are a few properties that a variant can acquire to cause us concern. 1. Increase in transmission. 2. Increase in disease severity. 3. Increased resistance to natural or acquired immunity. 4. Increased resistance to treatment methods. Many such variants of concern have popped up in different countries. Some have increased transmissibility, some are more lethal, and some have a reduced susceptibility to vaccines. All of these are major causes of concern and could have grave implications for us. In order that the virus gets less and less space to mutate further, we need to reach a critical percentage of the population that is immune from infection. However, given the constraints on vaccine availability, this is not expected to happen soon. So, in the meantime, we need to continue with following COVID appropriate behavior so that the virus gets less and less of a breeding ground that it requires to form new variants. Even after the vaccination coverage reaches a critical mass, we need to keep in mind that the percentage of immune population will be lesser than that of the vaccinated population, as no vaccine is 100% efficacious. We would still need to continue with COVID appropriate behavior. I intend to discuss this interplay between the virus and the vaccine in greater detail in my next podcast.